DJ Steward is a 5-star recruit and he's even committed to go play at Duke next year, but he did not start at the top, and today I'm just here to explain to y'all his story. Normally your 4 and 5-star recruits were always ranked high all throughout their basketball career. However, that is not the case for this player right here, and his story is completely different. And in this video, we are going to dive deep into his story and the pathway he took to get to where he is today. So without further ado, let's dive into it. Meet DJ Steward. He comes in at roughly 6'3" and weighing 160 pounds. And like I mentioned earlier, he's a 5-star recruit and has a 92 overall grade on ESPN. So I think we can all agree that's really great. But however, he was not always at the top. And to get into his story, you guys already know we gotta throw it all the way back to where things started. Now DJ doesn't have a crazy tragic story where he grew up extremely poor or had a lot of difficulties. But on the other hand, he also wasn't a childhood phenom and he was just a normal and average kid. And matter of fact, he actually played football all the way up until junior high, and that was one of his main sports. And as he was growing up, he was just pretty much an average kid with zero expectations. And I was doing a lot of research for this video, and one thing everybody said about this guy was that he loves to smile. And here's what DJ said about his habit of smiling. "I'm just always happy. I'm playing a game I love to play and always out there having a good time." And he should be smiling, especially when he's playing basketball and doing something he loves. Don't get it twisted though, he can easily flip that switch and enter the kill mode. Ever since he's been a freshman, he's been a force to reckon with on the court. And it's not like he was just producing here and there. As a freshman, he was arguably the best freshman in the country. He helped lead his team to a Class 3A state title game. And his team wound up losing the game, but listen to this. DJ was hands down the best player on the floor even though they lost. He finished that game with 26 points, 7 rebounds, and didn't miss a shot throughout the game. He was 10 for 10 from the floor. In the championship game, what more can you ask? So that's why his story is a little different than others. I've done a lot of stories on this channel where players go from unranked to a 5-star within 1 or 2 years. For example, Colin Sexton, Sharif Cooper, and there's a bunch more. But that is not the case with this kid because he was getting recognition early on, just not as much as he deserved. And even though he had really solid years as a freshman and sophomore in high school basketball, he just wasn't receiving a lot of attention in the rankings. But as a junior, this is when things quickly changed. Just like most 5-star players do, he established his name on the AAU circuit. The AAU circuit is how you prove to most coaches and recruiters that you're the real deal. This is where you're going to get the most attention and hype because there's a ton of cameras, ton of coaches, and ton of recruiters. And DJ had a great opportunity and he took complete advantage of it. In the summer of 2019, people really started to take notice to this guy. He had a really impressive start to his AAU season, and heading into the Nike Peach Jam, it was even more impressive. DJ actually stormed and put on a show on a national stage and was now one of the hottest names in recruiting. And here's what he had to say about it himself. "It's a great feeling, you know, you just always have to keep that chip on your shoulder. When I was playing in Chicago, I was just like a local kid that was really good. And when I came out here on the circuit, I wanted to prove that I could be a national and dominant player." And one game that was really good for him, he dropped 24 points on Josh Christopher. And he wound up finishing the Nike EYBL season as one of the top scorers. And trust me, this is when all of the coaches really started to pay attention. DJ immediately went from being ranked as the number 126 overall player in the country to all the way to 43. And then only 1 month later, he jumped up to 27. So DJ literally jumped up almost 100 spots within the span of 3 months. That is completely insane and crazy, but he actually deserved it. And if we're being honest, he probably shouldn't have even been ranked that low in the first place. I really feel like he's always been a top 25 player in the country. He just hasn't really seen the attention and hype he deserves. And when the Peach Jam was finally over and all said and done, Duke literally offered him right after one of his games. So yeah, by this time everybody knew that this kid was the real deal. But some recruiters were even like me, they always thought he was this good. And here's what one recruiter had to say. "It's a little bit of basketball stupidity as to why this is such a revelation. He was one of the most productive and successful freshmen in state history in a pretty good basketball state. I thought it was the best freshman season in terms of production and success in Illinois since John." Also later adding in the interview, "You combine all that as a freshman and then you follow it up with an all-state sophomore and junior season? Forgive me, but I laugh at the sudden rise of DJ Steward. He showed his value and his worth early on." And I cannot say it any better, I completely agree with him. This same recruiter has actually had Steward as the number 1 or number 2 point guard in the 2020 class for a while now. So at least someone bought into his hype early on and believed in him. So like I stated earlier in this video, it's not like he went from a nobody to somebody. He's really been this good all along. We're just now giving him the recognition recognition he deserves. And here's what someone even had to say about his overall game. He lets the game dictate what he evolves into and becomes as a player, whether he becomes more of a scorer and a take charge offensively type of guy, or he lets it come to him and gets others involved and be a little more of a creator. And I definitely think that's a great analysis of his game. And that's probably one of the scariest parts about his game as well, because even though he's at the point guard position and he's known for dishing out and playing like a true point guard, he can also light it up and score a bunch. He really just kind of sees how the game's going. If he knows he can get his teammates involved, he's going to do that. But he also knows if he needs to take over, he can do that as well. And you guys already know, as soon as he started getting all this attention, everybody started guarding him completely differently. And here's what DJ had to say himself about how he's being guarded now. They're definitely guarding me a lot harder. It's a lot different from the regular season of the EYBL. They're scouting on you, so they know all your moves. But in the interview, he then grinned and paused and said, well, they think they know all my moves. And before we go any farther, I just gotta say, I just love this kid's attitude, and he really seems like a cool guy just to be around. Whether it's on or off the basketball court, he's really someone you want to have on your side. When it was all said and done for the EYBL circuit though, he wound up averaging a crazy 24 points per game. I know I've said it a lot in my recent videos, but you guys don't understand how hard and good that competition is. If you're averaging over 15 points per game on the EYBL level, that's really good. And the more impressive part about this performance was that he shot a crazy 41% from deep. So you guys already know, heading into his senior year of high school basketball, everybody was going to try to lock him down. And even though he was drawing a lot of attention and getting doubled and sometimes triple teamed, he still put up a great season. DJ wound up averaging 22.5 points per game, 4.1 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. And I get it, those aren't really eye-popping numbers, but they were solid and he's a very efficient scorer. And one thing to keep in mind was that he was playing on a really good high school team, so there was a lot of other good players taking the load management off of him. And also, he's a point guard. He's not supposed to put up 40 a night. He's just supposed to control the pace of the game. And flash forward in time, when his season finally came to an end, there was only one question left, and it had everybody wondering, where is DJ Steward going to play his college basketball at? And in a very long and hard recruiting process, ultimately he wound up deciding to go to Duke. And this really came as a shock to nobody because I feel like almost everybody knew where he was going to go. And here's what DJ had to say about his decision. Most of you know that I committed, and it's just a great feeling to be part of the brotherhood. I've always dreamt about playing at the highest level, and now I'm going to Duke. I feel like this will put me in the best position to potentially be able to play at the highest level one day. And what I'm about to tell you guys was the turning point in his recruitment process, and this really made him choose Duke. DJ went on to say, I think the turning point for me was a few weeks back when Coach K brought his whole staff to come see me. He came with 3 other coaches, and that was the first time that any coach had ever done that. I was shocked by that. And that's why Duke is always one of the best programs each and every year. I don't even care for them, but honestly, they go hard on recruiting. If you want to get the best players, you got to show them that you really want him, and I think Duke definitely did that. And he didn't commit right then and there. He actually waited a little while. He eventually took an official visit, and he absolutely loved it there. And then right after, this is what DJ said. It took me about a day, then I FaceTimed Coach K, and he could not stop smiling. He just kept telling me how happy he was that I was coming. And one thing I gotta say about the Duke fanbase is that they are extremely loyal, and this is what happened to DJ after he committed. DJ goes on to state, after I committed, my social media pages went crazy. I've added thousands of new followers on Instagram and Twitter. Our fanbase goes hard, as most of you know. And he even posted a picture of him on Twitter and said, all glory to God, ... final destination. And I really feel like that's a trend in these videos. It seems like more players are giving credit to God, and that is what we love to see, man. Without God, we're nothing, and we just need to give all the credit and glory to him for blessing us with the opportunities. And I can honestly say, this kid's not only a great basketball player, but he seems like a great person as well. I really feel like his demeanor off the court is going to take him far in life as well. I think if he has a good year at Duke, he could definitely be a one and done and even a lottery pick if he works hard. But there's also one thing to keep an eye on. Even though I'm making this video on him, I also think he's still underrated, even though he's a 5-star recruit. So even though some people are somehow still sleeping on this guy, he's definitely going to wake them up soon. And I would definitely not be shocked at all if he shows out at Duke in this 1 year and goes straight to the NBA. DJ Steward was underrated his entire basketball career all the way up into his junior and senior season. But now, everybody's realizing how good this kid is and all the eyes are on him. So will he continue to turn heads, or is he going to crumble under the pressure at Duke? But hey man, with all this being said, that's about going to wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. If you are new to the channel, what are you doing? Join the family, hit that subscribe button, and leave a like for more. And as always, let's be great. I'm out, y'all. Peace.